Music's down.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is what we're calling our final whistle. We survived through rounds 5 and 6 of the season beta championship, and this little show is to kind of go through the high points and the low points of how we got through 5 and 6. Autonomous racing is a hard business. And today we kind of deconstruct everything and give you a little bit of the behind the scenes of how it all went. Joining me today is the man in black himself. Mike is here. We have our head of Metaverse, Ivan, is here. And in addition to that, we also have somebody that played a key role in this event. You'll see why in a little bit. Andrew, who's our head of production and operations. Welcome all. Kind of joining me from all over the world. I'm up in Northern California. Andrew's down in our Los Angeles headquarters. Nice photos behind you. Man in black, we never know where you are. It's your underground lair somewhere under the Arctic Circle, I think. And then Ivan, where are you today?
It's Moscow region, like not far away from Moscow, in snow.
It seems like just yesterday that I saw you in Las Vegas, and actually it was.
Yes. That's true.
I hope you're feeling well and well rested. I'm sure you are. So yes, try to stay with us. We'll try to keep the show pretty short. Okay. So rounds 5 and 6. So. It's two separate competitions. On Saturday we had round 5. On Sunday we had round 6. So we have two different winners. We're going to get to who won and how that all played out. So here's round 5 right now. Really tight competition. Some teams kind of had some bobbles in testing. But if we take a look at round 5 here, you can see. The first two columns, collectibles and obstacles, where they netted out. And if you look at the third column, we recorded top speed for everyone. And let's just take a look at Arrival because they're on the top line. They recorded the highest top speed of 147 miles an hour. I'm going to quickly try to do this on the fly. Maybe some of my math whizzes out there can help me, but that's 90 some odd miles an hour, which on our tight course in Las Vegas is pretty stout. And then take a look at elapsed times. So the elapsed time, what that is that's the time it took them to run their lap. And you'll notice that actually Acronis SIT Autonomous was actually faster than Arrival on the track by just a little bit, by 3/4 of a second or so. But the end result, once we looked at the obstacles and we looked at the collectibles, Arrival actually ended up winning by just a little bit. So actually quite a tight competition. The difference in this one is that Acronis hit 2 more obstacles, and the obstacles had a very, very heavy penalty in this round, as we always kind of experiment with how much we should penalize them and how much we should reward them, and see what that does and how it changes their strategies. Mike, I know you were watching. From home while the rest of us were kind of in the middle of this whole thing. What were your observations from watching from home? And did any team surprise you? And what was your overall impression of the event?
There's definitely one team that surprised me a lot, but better talking about that when we switch to round 6. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, we'll save that for later.
Yeah, because Arrival and the Acronis were great. Like we can say it's like usual because they're doing great during last round. So we see them in very good shape and they're progressing. Especially because it was a kind of like really hard thing for the teams to deal with the metaverse, at least with static objects. But now we introduced dynamic object, and the teams still deal good. At least this those two teams. I mean, Arrival and SIT, and I'm looking forward to seeing that other teams doing the same good with the metaverse and dynamic objects in the further rounds later this year, sir.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at it. Our original competitions kind of focused on, hey, teams, just go out there and get the cars around the track. And then we kind of moved on to, okay, let's see how fast we can do it. And then we moved on to, let's see how accurate you can do it. And this is all part of season beta, that progression. And then we said, you know what? Ivan's come up with some virtual objects that he's going to throw out there. They're static, and as you said, now we have some dynamic virtual objects, and that means that they're moving along the track. And really, the difference in this competition is everybody can run a pretty good speed, a pretty good pace on the track. But now it comes down to how well do they identify those virtual objects, and how well do they react to them. And that really is, we're always trying to bring this back to what happens to a real driver. And as a real driver, that's, it's one thing just to be able to drive down an uncrowded, country road and keep the car on the road. It's quite another thing to be, downtown with cars coming back and forth and bicycles coming out. And that's what we're trying to create here with these virtual objects. So a big challenge, and that really was the difference in the competition, was how well did they react to these things. Ivan, what do you kind of think of how they reacted to the virtual objects? Did they have a hard time seeing them? What kind of challenges did the teams face, and did you face with, as we're kind of breaking new boundaries with putting the metaverse out there?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I would enlighten our audience like what we have done. We just together with static objects, we added some dynamic objects, and they behaved the following way. We just placed them along the racing track, and they went along the central line of the track with permanent speed, something like from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. And it's curious, to see that on round 5, most of the teams, well, initially, what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to create kind of like autobahn. And our imagination draw us some pictures when the vehicle is trying to overtake different dynamic obstacles and try to be the first in a row. At the same time, what we experienced in reality, it was pretty much different. Like most of the teams just tried to go in parallel with the dynamic objects. And I saw only one team, and I believe it's MIT driverless, who slowed down up from the dynamic objects. In that it was kind of road relevant behavior, like real AI driver would do. So pretty smart behavior, I would say, not racing, but quite smart. Yeah, like human driver. Yeah, definitely. Like safe human driver. Yeah.
Really cool to see. Round five was an interesting day. So Arrival, of course, came out with the win. Acronis took more penalties. They came in second. The Autonomous Racing Graz out of Austria put in a good run, but took a lot of penalties, and that put them in third. And then, of course, MIT driverless, and unfortunately, University of Pisa encountered problems. Kind of heartbreaking for them. This team they have so much heart. They try really hard, but they got the car up to the start line and couldn't get it to initialize and move. So really difficult one for them. But before we talk about their difficulties, it was an interesting day for us. We had some weather come through. Andrew Davis, who's joining us, is our head of operations and production, and he's the one that's responsible for building the track, putting all the cameras in place, making sure everything looks good. Andrew, what was round five? What was your day like on Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday is interesting. One of the things that we're doing that we've been sort of able to pivot to that Roborace has done, like many events across the world right now, and for the last year, it's been quite difficult still trying to operate and run events with the kind of state of the world right now, with the crisis that we've all been going through. And so Roborace has figured out a very unique way to pivot and to be able to operate a lot of what we're doing remotely, which is cool. We have teams all over the world that are working on this, and in fact, even our race teams are not physically on site themselves. So we have teams in Russia, we have teams in Canada, we have teams in USA, we have teams in Europe, both racing teams and operational teams that are working on this simultaneously. So it's a very heavy processing production that we're doing on site, with essentially a sort of skeleton crew that we have there. So we've been able to figure out a way to kind of pivot and do as much production as we can, with as, I guess, minimal staff as possible on site. So to go into a little bit of the technical details, on this particular production, we're using Panasonic UE150 PTZ robo cameras. So that allows us to have control of cameras on the track, without actually physically being there with the cameras and hand holding those cameras themselves. We being in Las Vegas, there is always an issue of potential weather that could be happening. And
What are you talking about?
Dealing with some of the elements, I think more on Sunday than Saturday was a factor. But we had scares of weather that we were looking at in the forecast the entire time. Potentially scares of rain, potentially scares of even snow. It being in Las Vegas, that's a rare word to say, but Sunday we had
let me interrupt for a second. Let me kind of
Yeah.
paint the picture for our audience. So here we are, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's right next to Nellis Air Force Base. So at any moment when you look up in the sky, you can see B-2 bombers. You can see dark skies that come out of nowhere, like we're seeing on the screen right now. We went from well, here we go. Andrew, talk us through it.
Yeah, so what you're seeing right now, this is not rain or snow. This is blowing sand that has come across the event. We had forecasted winds of 30 miles an hour and actually experienced winds over 70 miles an hour. Pretty much gale force winds came unpredicted through our event. We basically called an immediate shutdown of race operations to deal with the weather. We had 2 cameras blow over and get damaged, unfortunately. We were able to kind of pivot with that and still produce the show. But kind of out of nowhere, just over the mountains next to the track, a wall of storm came in and just engulfed us.
I will note as we look at these pictures that right when this was happening, Ivan was with me and he wanted to keep going. Ivan, do you remember this?
Yeah, absolutely,
Like
absolutely.
stopping?
Like my question was like, why we have stopped? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I pushed him outside of the container into the sandstorm.
Yeah, because guys, when we're talking about when we're talking about metaverse, all is possible. And we just like when we come to this regular physical world with all these like weaknesses, it become much more difficult.
Yeah, I specifically
next time,
remember
let's do the
an
storm
entire
metaverse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good idea. No, I specifically remember an entire porta potty, like a porta loop blowing over, and Yvonne goes, "Why we stopped?" And he looks outside. Oh, broken toilet. Oh, that's why.
Yeah. Basically, that was the reason.
Yeah. So yeah, we had our okay. We stopped those images. I can't look at the broken camera anymore. We had our challenges, but the funny thing is just as quickly as the storm came, it left us, and I think we were back to competition within say 30 minutes. Ivan, in round 5, we also had some challenges, with the virtual objects, and as I said, we're kind of on the frontier of these things, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, and the fact that there were some virtual objects that were being served up, that weren't necessarily exactly what
sure.
we had in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let me enlighten you a bit on this, guys. Basically, we have 3 environments. We have software in the loop simulation, like where we have we have metaverse, we have simulator, and we play with all the objects, and teams are testing their AI there. Then we have hardware in the loop that, like, partially the car elements are presented there. And then we have our production environments with real car, with real V2X infrastructure and all that. And basically what we experience is that in real world, in production environment, our metaverse host behavior, and metaverse host is a kind of glue between all the elements, like with low latency, with zero latency, a specific glue. And we experience that it behaves a bit differently in software in the loop simulator and then in production simulator. It was all good in software in the loop, during hardware in the loop, but when we came on the track side, they were like, it appeared that we started to feed our cars with some garbage data. I would say like garbage, because like dirty data. It wasn't precise. Basically, what I'm talking about, the altitude of some objects were different than it should be, and basically it affected it's converting from absolute coordinates to I forgot this word actually to related and which caused which affected not also altitude, but not only altitude but also latitude. So that meant that some objects in real life were like up to 2 meters away from the position we thought they are. And basically we counted those objects as a hit, for example, if the car moved in that particular area, which was wrong. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, worth mentioning that all teams were in the same conditions. So it was the same wrong dimensions for all teams. But Understood. Also for the round 6, we fixed this issue with metaverse host, and we are like 2000% sure that it was like super precise.
So that brings us to round 6, and we had a pretty good round 6 going, and a few surprises about round 6, and Mike, I think you alluded to it before, regarding our friends at University of Pisa. Maybe you can talk a little bit about their run. For me, the biggest moment of the weekend is when we pressed the go button and the Pisa car went.
This was just unforgettable, because that was their first run, because they're with us not just in season beta from the very beginning, but they also appeared in season alpha. And they were really struggling with like making their code working well with DevBots, making all those integration working properly, things like that. And they actually were challenged a lot by all those complications that they faced, and they never really raced, I would say. So they were mostly struggling again with all those issues. And finally they did that during round 6, and this wasn't just because they eventually did that. but we can see that that run, and it's like, you know, burning wheels, and it's like tremendous. It's cool. It's sick.
It had some drama to it. I was like, every lap,
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
oh, I hope they're gonna do another lap.
Yes, because you know,
and everything.
yeah, exactly. It's like,
One
you know,
more lap,
you
please,
never
guys.
know.
One more lap, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, on every turn, I was really frightened if they kill DevBot. No, because it was.
Because I mean, PISA they've long been they're kind of champions in the simulator, and it's been, as you said, there's been these integration problems, and when they transition to the real car, they've always struggled there. We knew they had it in them from what we saw in the simulator, but it was that transition. It was so good to actually see it happen, and they couldn't have done it in a more dramatic way with the lockups and everything. But it was big moment for the day.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we have it right now to show, but you know, guys, you can actually watch the recorded stream, and if you find that it's like super cool. It's really like the best run ever, probably, you know. At least during the mission we've accomplished in season 8.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to to MIT, and I'll get to that in just a second. So just kind of recapping. Oh, and there are the results. Great. So the Arrival Racing had a DNF. They had a problem at the start. PISA put up a good run. If you actually take a look at their elapsed time, they had the fastest elapsed time, but they took 6 obstacles, so that put them down into 3rd place. Graz Graz had the quickest elapsed time, but they took 5 obstacles, so they were able to beat PISA. Acronis bounced back from round 5 and had a really impressive run. They kind of chose, from a strategy standpoint, to kind of take it kind of smooth and carefully. If you look at their elapsed time, it was actually the slowest out of all 3 teams. But take a look at the collectibles. They collected 30 collectibles, and Ivan, how many collectibles total was there for them to collect? If they collected all collectibles, how many were offered to them? Do you know off the top of your head?
You mean collectibles? It's something like 40 per lap.
Right, okay. So they got 30, really good number, and most importantly, they hit 0 obstacles. So that was the secret to their run. Now that brings us to MIT. MIT is our newest team. They have a really great team. There's a lot of them, and they work really hard on this. And they're always, we have chat groups with each of our team, and all through the night it's going, and it's pinging next to my bed all the time. And they've been working on a little bit different approach to how they path plan, called Spline Racer, and they made an error in round 5, and they didn't load the right software stack for round 5. They loaded what they were using in testing, not what they had prepared for competition. But we were really looking forward to round 6, because it was gonna be Spline Racer. They felt like they had it dialed. They triple checked to make sure that they loaded the right software solution in. They got out there, the clock kind of ticked down, the vehicle went, and then they did 1 lap, and the car stopped. And unfortunately, it wasn't their fault. It was actually a hardware issue on our side. What happens with these cars, and with the DevBots in particular, is sometimes with autonomous driving stacks, when they ask for torque, or they give a throttle command, it can be quite jerky. It can be a little bit jagged and not too smooth, and that creates all kind of lash down at the drive shafts, and you have a tremendous amount of torque that comes out of these electric motors. And when you get that torque coming on and off and on and off and on and off, if you get just the right lash happening, it can snap the drive shaft. And that's exactly what happened. It snapped the drive shaft, no fault of MIT's. And we're meeting to kind of figure out how we make that up to them. So really disappointed for them. Great team. I know they're going to do great things in the future, but they really kind of had what we'll call a racing incident in round 6. Did anybody have anything else on round 6? Any other observations that I may have missed?
I know there was a question. I think we might have changed the point value for obstacles and collectibles this time. I saw some questions from the audience about that, but what was the actual the point value that was changed on this one?
So what we did is oh, go ahead.
Yeah, please go on, Chip. Please. Okay. Yeah. So basically, what we did, explored is that if we place the objects like too close to the vehicles just like don't have to reach it and overtake. So we made different for the round 6. We made it the way so every single team has an opportunity to reach, take every single dynamic obstacle. And basically some of them did, some of them took, and some of them, like MIT, I mentioned previously, they just slowed down before objects, which is kind of smart thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's we didn't want to see. We want to make teams avoid the obstacles, so we put a higher value on the obstacles, and that definitely kind of dictates their behavior. It seemed like teams were in previous rounds were maybe treating the obstacles like they were fluffy pillows, and we wanted them kind of treat them like they were cement walls with knives coming out of them, and that's what we did.
And basically, in addition to that, we changed the value for loots and obstacles in comparison with the previous round. We did that, in case the difference is huge. For example, in previous round it was equal or close to be equal, something like plus 4 seconds for the obstacles hits and minus 2 seconds for the loot. And we made it differently, so plus 30 seconds for the obstacle hit. So they had to manage this, and they had to be super precise when they're interacting with the dynamic obstacles.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely, it's interesting when you change the rules how it can dramatically shift their behavior. So what I wanted to do now is just kind of give a little bit of where's this all headed? What's next? What's next for Roborace, and what are our ultimate goals? Season beta is a development season, and I thought maybe we could just talk a little bit about Ivan, from your side in the metaverse. Where do you want to go with the metaverse? Would be great to hear that. I want to kind of give the audience a little bit of an idea of what maybe future Roborace rounds can look like in the months and maybe even the years to come.
Yeah, from the metaverse perspective, several goals. The ultimate goals for the competition itself is to enable multiple vehicles on the site with wheel-to-wheel competition. We are going forward with this way, presenting another time static objects and dynamic objects. The next race will be, by the way, ghost vehicle with complex physics, and it will follow the racing trajectories. So it's gonna be a competition between one physical vehicle driven by Team's AI, and the ghost vehicle driven by Roborace AI, and we'll see who is faster. So basically, in this condition, whether you want it or not, you have to do this and overtake. And going forward, it's not only about like creating the environment for that kind of competition, but creating the wider environment, enabling like ultimate tests for automotive industry. Basically, Metaverse enables this. I would say it's a dramatic change in the entire industry, because like it allows to test faster. It allows to create up to subnormal conditions. It allows, you know, when you see that automotive companies are training their like how to say it, autopilot with some like bubbles on the real roads, right? And they're trying to stop, or they're trying to overtake, slow down physical objects. Instead, we can present dynamic objects with like really complex physics, like real deer, not like deer tests as we used to do. This kind of thing, like, and we just like think, what's the speed? What's the high speed? Can you do this run? Yeah, the real deer. How would the AI behave when it faces a real deer, for example, and stuff like that. This is for as for the Metaverse part. At the same time, we are creating the environment for the full autonomous and automated show production. Basically, when it's all driven by telemetry, when cameras are shifting by telemetry, when objects appearing caused by telemetry, etc. So it's quite interesting way.
Very cool.
And journey.
Very cool. It is a journey indeed. So Mike, you know, we're let's say halfway through season beta. We've overcome a lot of technical challenges. We've come a long way, but we also know we have a lot further to go. What are your feelings so far? You know, it's you know, based on kind of your vision of Metaverse and the competition and kind of where we're headed. How's it all working out for you so far?
Actually, it's working really great. Even every problem, every issue, every trouble, every fail, everything is just precious for me, because, you know, we actually learn a lot, we fix a lot, and, you know, I actually can notice, and our audience can definitely notice that, you know, things are getting better and better. And, you know, looking forward to the end of the season, it's going to be like just I hope it's going to be just perfect. And, you know, so we are ultimately we're absolutely ready for the season one then.
Yeah, everything we do, you know, that's why we do these things, is to figure out the problems. You can plan for problems, but you never know until you actually go out and do it. You uncover the problems, and then you create the fixes for it, and that's how we get towards having a you know, a really stable platform, which is something
exactly,
we all want to do before we put multiple cars out there, because they're not virtual, and when they do crash, it's not virtual dollars, it's real dollars. So we're looking forward. No pressure, Ivan, but the metaverse needs to get all that solved before
Exactly.
we put other cars out there. Otherwise, it comes out of your budget, Ivan. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And once again, we should
Yeah.
definitely emphasize that, because, you know, the whole season beta is a long story, which is all about this ultimate goal to come to wheel racing eventually through the whole season beta. So, you know, I can just, you know, say my thanks to all who are watching us, like every mission, because, you know, you guys are literally watching how, like, you know, the history is written, how, you know, how we start with like this level of readiness for the wheel racing, and when we actually achieve it in the end of the season. So yeah, we'll look how the progress actually, how the teams actually progress with that all, and, you know, probably we may even extend the season, because, you know, if we don't achieve the wheel racing, we should definitely extend the season, because, you know, the season beta should definitely get accomplished with that achievement.
If you like, if for our viewers out there, if you like tears, heartbreak, and pain, season beta is the show for you. And that
Exactly.
was our pledge, and that was our pledge. And Mike, it was great that that was our pledge at the beginning of the season. It's like, we're going to show you everything. We're going to show you the problems. We're going to show you everything we go through, because it's a complex task, and we will continue to share with you the ups and downs of season beta, as we drive towards season one. And as Mike said, we're looking at extending season beta a little bit because we lost some important testing time due to coronavirus, and so we're well prepared for season one when it comes. So we'll have some announcements shortly on that. Well, very good. I thank all of you for your time. Great conversation, great wrap up of events 5 and 6. Of course, we have coming up in the end of March, next competition 7 and 8. Ivan, what are the challenges for 7 and 8? Are we going to see anything new challenging the teams there?
Yeah. As I said, it's gonna be a ghost car introduced on the racetrack. So every single team will be challenged a lot. So it will be competing with the ghost car, like behaving really like perfect racing car, like all the racing trajectories. But they won't know the exact trajectories. They can imagine something, but they won't know for sure. That's another challenging thing. So you may make like. We can imagine that some team may try to hardcode this stuff, but basically that's not the way it should be developed. You can win the race, but you won't win the championship then, because like
we
introduce like 7.
Yeah, we'll deal with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We can always do the ghost car brake test. Something from racing days. We've got some strategies for that. Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing it. Excited about where this is headed, and fingers crossed. We got to give MIT a fair shake next time out. Congratulations to PISA. Of course, congratulations to Arrival and SIT for their wins. And as always, ARG. Solid performer. I know that they're going to come out and surprise us any day now. They had a really great end of season alpha, and I think there are good things to come from them. So thanks everyone. Thanks for your hard work, Andrew. Thanks for braving the elements. When Ivan wanted us to keep going. And hopefully we'll have better weather next time in Vegas.
Yeah, I think from a production standpoint, we're really excited to see where season beta is going to go, and how we're going to continue on this journey to season one. I think now that the cars are back in the U.S. and we've got a plan for a few great events coming up, we're really excited to be here. We've heard potential rumors about possibly even doing a night race. We might see where that goes. I know a few of our fans were asking about that. So really, really excited from an event standpoint to see how we progress with season beta now that we're back in the US, and where we can go and take this once we get to season one.
Yeah, for our audience, just so they know, Roborace is going into a little bit of a Las Vegas residency right now. It is where our testing and development center is. So we'll kind of take that variable out of the competition, and then we're kind of, as we ramp up and we do these new variables of ghost cars and then multiple vehicles out there, we'll do that in our Las Vegas backyard, where we can do a bunch of testing, which is something that all the teams have been asking for. So you'll be seeing quite a bit of us in Las Vegas coming up as we prepare for season one. So look forward to seeing all of you there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Today.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Have a nice
Thank you,
weekend.
guys. Thank you
Bye-bye.
for watching.
Cheers. Get some sleep,
Bye.
Ivan.
I will try.